What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt.
So I think that the next generation technical checklist trend needs to come to an end. But before we get into that, we are still on the road to 20,000 subscribers. So if you're into Nintendo Switch 2 content and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think about the topic in the comment section. And also, if you like the topic and you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. So there's been, and actually there's kind of always been, this trend every generation where developers believe that they have to include features, graphical features in their games just based simply on the fact that they're able to do them now. So whenever we have new hardware come, there's always some features, some new features, that graphical features that they were unable to do in the past, and now they're able to do. And these developers, they like going crazy with it. Like you've even seen in these Unreal Engine announcement videos, they'll detail all of the new graphical features that you can do in this next generation, and developers, I guess they feel obligated to try to implement as many as these next generation graphical features into their games as possible. But the question is, should they be doing this? Because I've noticed that a lot of these features don't necessarily make the games always look better. And a case in point example of this is Street Fighter 6 on the Nintendo Switch 2. So if you guys have played Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2, you know that it's actually a very good looking game, despite the fact that its actual native resolution is only 540p docked. But due to the magic of, DLSS and the straight up efficiency of the Nintendo Switch 2, it looks pretty damn good. It looks great. Well, one thing that's very interesting about Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2 is that while the PlayStation 5 version looks better overall, there's some cases where the Switch 2 version arguably looks better than the PlayStation 5 version, and that honestly should not be the case. But for some reason, it is. Now, the reason why Street Fighter 6 can appear to look better or more detailed in some areas on Switch 2 versus the PlayStation 5 is because of something that Super Metal Dave actually pointed out a couple months ago, is that the Switch 2 version of Street Fighter 6 is missing subsurface scattering. So by definition, it's pretty much a rendering technique that simulates how light penetrates and scatters within translucent materials before re-emerging. It's crucial for creating realistic effects on materials like skin, wax, and marble, right? So in layman's terms, it's a lighting solution that makes games, makes surfaces, makes things look more realistic. But the issue here is that maybe not all games should use subsurface scattering if it's actually not going to make the game look better. Case in point, Street Fighter 6 on Nintendo Switch 2 versus PlayStation 5. So like I said, overall the PlayStation 5 version does look better, but there's some instances where the Switch 2 version looks at the very least, arguably better. And it's because it's missing a next-gen feature. So we look at these pictures comparing Street Fighter 6 on PlayStation 4, Xbox Series S, Switch 2, and PS5. And in these instances, the Switch 2 version appears to be showing more detail. Now, the crazy part is the detail is actually there in the PlayStation 5 version. It's just the inclusion of this lighting feature is keeping you from seeing the texture detail that is there. Which makes you question, is like, what was the real point of using this? If it's going to actually not show all the hard work and detail that Capcom went in to with the texture detail of their character models. Like, what's the point of having these highly detailed character models if the lighting model that you choose never shows it? I mean, I like motion blur and stuff like that just as much as anyone, but if the motion blur and the advanced lighting is actually doing more harm than good, then maybe they should have thought twice about including it, or at least having it to such a degree. It's like the the lighting shouldn't make the lighting shouldn't affect the textures in such a way that it looks this drastically different, is what I'm saying. I think these developers need to realize that gamers don't actually care if the lighting is realistic. They care about how good it looks. So, I mean, Halo should have been a prime example of this. They tried to make a Halo game that had lighting that behaved very realistically, but because of that, depending on where that character model was in relation to the lighting, it made the character models look kind of crappy. And that's why Microsoft had a really hard time during that unveiling of Halo, because the lighting made those character models look freaking terrible. And you would have thought that a lesson would have been learned from that situation, but apparently not. Apparently not. I mean, like, I just don't see how you would go through all of this work to make these highly detailed character models only to implement a lighting model that didn't showcase that. I don't know, that kind of boggles my mind. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you think that the Switch 2 version looks better in this comparison, or do you prefer the more realistic lighting of the PlayStation 5 version? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section.